So today in this video we're going to talk about how to create some basic shapes in Illustrator. So first let's start with some geometric shapes. So let's explore the standard shape tool. So first is the rectangle. Okay, so first of all we will need to set the color into black. So if we just simply drag it, we can get a rectangle, right? So if we click on the blank space, we can set the width and height of the rectangle we like. I want a 3 inches by 2 inches, and I click OK. Yes, and I get a rectangle as what I want. So if I use the rectangle tool and I hold on Shift key, I will get a standard square, right? So if I'm not holding the Shift key, I will get a rectangle. If I hold the Shift key and draw, I will get a standard square. Yes, and if you zoom in, you see we got those circle here. So what if we drag those small circles? We're adding round corners, right? We're adding a radius for the square, and it just turns into a circle if we keep dragging it towards the center. Yeah, so if I zoom in, if I only click and drag, all the 4 corners are changing. So what if I want to just change one of them? I will click on it first, make sure this one is selected, and drag. Right, I can also hold on the Shift key, click here, and I also want to change this one, click this one, which means I select both this corner and this corner, and I can drag 2 of them, which means I only changing these 2 corners, so the rest of the corner is not changing. Right, hold on Shift, I want to change this, I want to change this one, drag, right? So you can either change all of them, or you can pick the one you want to change. Yeah, so if you use the add anchor point tool, add an anchor point on the path somewhere, and then if I go back, I use the direct selection tool and drag this the new anchor point. I can just drag to change the shape of the rectangle, right? So adding an anchor point, and I'm using the direct selection tool to select the anchor point and drag. Right, I can just add as many as I want to modify the shape, right? Until until the shape I like. Yeah. So this is about the rectangular tool. So now let's talk about the ellipse tool. So you can see we can always remember some shortcuts, right? So rectangle is the M, while the ellipse tool is the L. So I'm going to use the ellipse tool, and I get an ellipse. So if I hold in the Shift key, I will get a standard circle. If I hold in Option Shift key, I will get a circle extend from the center point, or shrink towards the center point, right? Hold on Option Shift, right? Got a standard circle. The same thing is if I select the ellipse tool, I click on the blank space, I can set the width and the height to the number I like. Yeah, so you can see when I get the circle tool, there is a little handle here. If I drag this latest angle, I can get a semicircle, or I can get a particular portion of the circle. Right, so this is a very convenient. So another way we can get a semicircle is we can select it, and we can use the scissors tool, cut on the anchor point. Then I will go back to the selection tool, and I will I'm cutting the circle into a half. So this is how the scissors tool work on the circle. Yeah, so another tool we want to talk about is the shear tool. So actually I'm going to get another rectangle first, and I'm going to use the shear tool to drag the anchor point. You can see I'm kind of shear the shape, right? So this is another way you can change the shape. So there is no, if we see there are polygon tool, there are star tool. So let's continue with the polygon tool to see what's happening, right? Here is the polygon. So if we click on the blank space, I can decide how many sides I want. I can get as many sides as I want, right? So this is the polygon. Let's explore the star tool. I got a star, and if I drag on this circle on the boundaries, I can add more points. Yeah, so if I drag this little white circle, I can change the form, right? It looks like a sun, which is kind of interesting. Add different types of form. Yeah, so we already got a lot of shapes, but you can see we don't have the option for the triangle, right? So what if I want a triangle? We have multiple ways to do that. So we can just simply go back using the pen tool, click, 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 right, to get the triangle. So another way is if I got a normal, probably a normal polygon, I can use the scissors tool, right? So I can use the scissors tool to cut the two anchor points to separate it as two different shapes, right? And we can also use the direct selection tool to drag the anchor point to make the increase the height of the triangle. Yeah. So we can also cut the square, right? If we want to use the scissors tool, right? We can always use the scissors tool to cut a shape into different pieces, right? We can use the scissors tool to get a new shape, or we can combine the two shapes to get a new shape, right? Combine and cut is the way you can get different types of shapes. Yeah, so this is about the geometric shape, right? So also the pen tool, you can use the pen tool to do everything you want, right? To draw the particular shape you like. Yeah, so now let's try to draw some organic shape. So I need a new artboard. So remember, when we want to add an artboard, we goes to here and we add. Then we're going to start drawing some organic shape. So the definition of the organic shape is very, there's no restrictions of organic shape, which means any curve you draw with the curve is an organic shape, right? So there are millions possibilities of the organic shape. Yeah. Or let's try to, or if we, first of all, if we have a square, it's a geometric shape, but we can use the curve tool to change it into a organic shape, right? We click on the curvature tool, we drag one side, right? It gave me a nice curve, and I click on the center, drag the other side, I got another nice curve, then I got a heart, right? So we can always use the curvature tool to modify the straight lines to change those harsh edges to get an organic shape. Yes, also if we combine, we can also try to combine the shapes, right? So if we combine several circles, it's an organic shape. So remember what we did with the repeat tool, right? We get a shape and we go to the object, we repeat, we select the radio. Then we got a shape out of flower. We can add more pieces. We can make them more move towards each other, right? Then I got a nice flower. It's also organic shape. Yes, and what if let's draw a circle first. Okay, so remember we used the waste tool for the lines, right? So what if we use some other tools on the shape? Let's try this one. Let's try click. Okay, you can see I'm creating some really fancy stuff, right? Adding some spiral. Yeah. So we're going to let's just try to go through this list to see what's happening. Okay, I'm warping the shape, Parker. Okay. Yeah. So those tools can give you different styles, different ways to modify the shape, right? So you can take some time to explore each one of them. Yeah, so this is the list we can try to use it on the shape. Another list we can try is if we're going to the I think it's effect, right? So if we go to the effect, and we goes to yes, here distort and transform, and we start with the second one all the way down to the last one. So if we go into the Parker and blot, and can drag towards blot, you can see this. If it's a Parker, it's another types of shape, right? It turns my circle into a very interesting star flower shape, right? It's kind of interesting. Yeah. So let's draw another circle. So what if we did we do a roughen? Increase the size, increase the details. Well, we got a roughen effect. We can either change corner, smooth. Yeah, so this is another list you can take some time to play with, right? So if I want to tweak it, okay, it's tweaking. Okay, so if we want to twist, okay, probably this one doesn't twist much because I guess it's a circle. So if we change it into an ellipse, let's see how it will twist. Distort, transform, twist. Okay, the ellipse is twisting, right? So if I just keep adding angles, it just twists in a more interesting way. You can see it's keep twisting. Yeah. So we can always try a different shape, right? So if it's a rectangle and we twist it to see what, that's more interesting if it's a rectangle, right? Give a really interesting outcome. So what if it's let's try zigzag. Okay, zigzag effect. Right. That's really fun to play with, right? It's a really interesting pattern, right? So I take some time to explore this list. Right, this list apply it on different shape to see what's happening. I guess it would be more interesting if we do it on the star, right? If we add more points here and if we twist it, okay, you can see how interesting it is, right? We got a really nice interesting shape. We drag this point. Well, we can add more pieces, more points. We can move back and forth. Right, it's another interesting shape. Going to add more space. Okay, so now what if, let's try another list. You can try with the stylized, no, sorry, the warp, right? So let's go to select the first one. You can see it changed my square into an arc. So if it's arc low, let's try arc upper, arch, right? Arch, shell lower, shell upper, flag, right? You can see it give you fish, right? It gives you different types of outcomes, and you can also change the value of how much you want it to change, right? Fish, okay. Yeah, so try to play with this list with different types of shape, right? So if it's a circle, it's a star, probably it will also give you different outcomes. Oh, yeah, you can see it's different. Yeah, so you can so you do not have to use the pen tool to create everything, right? So use some of those tools. It can get a really fancy shape, a fancy pattern in a really fast way. Yeah, so this is something we can play with. Yeah, so also let's try to draw some icons, right? I'm going to give a really simple example. So if we combine some shapes together and modify them in the way we like, we can get some icons we want. So for example, we draw a really simple rough bottle, right? So yeah, so if you want them to be aligned well, you may always don't forget to use the align tool here. And you can use the direct selection tool to drag the anchor point, right? And yeah, combine different shapes, and just depends on how you want them to be look like. And add a radio. This. Yeah, so if it's a house, we can start with a triangle, right? Cut the square and hold our shift to rotate it, and we can combine the two shapes using the align tool to create icons always. Okay, probably I will turn them into white so we can see a nice contrast. Yes, and just provide a really simple example. Right, you can create something really fast when you are familiar with how to work with some easy shapes. Right, only want to change this one. Yes, I can create a knife icon in a really fast way. You can see it only takes several seconds. It's a nice car. Can combine with the circle, right? Some really simple icons. Yeah, so always try using the scissors tool to cut the shape. Use the direct selection tool to drag the anchor point to modify the form on the shapes. Well, also you can combine two shapes as one. So another thing is, although it seems like they are combined, but they are still separate shapes. although if we command G to group them, they are still separate shapes because the path just showing that the three shapes they are overlapped. So what if I just want to blend them into one shape? So here is two ways we can do that. The first way is we select it and we select the Unite tool under the Pathfinder. Then you can see the three shapes unify into one shape. Right, we can see there's no overlapping anymore. Going to go back. There's another way is select them all, and this time we're using the Shape Builder tool, and we just draw here, select, drag, right, just drag through the three shapes and we combine them. Right, let's do this one. We're going to the Shape Builder tool, click, 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 right, just like you're using the pencil tool, draw on the surface, and I just release. You can see everything has been combined. Right, and the car, we can use the Pathfinder, the first tool, which is the same function, right? So now I got those shapes combined as one shape. Yeah, so you can try to draw some icons in a really fast way. Right, let's add another page. So we can call these actual shapes. Right, in the lecture we talked about the definition of the actual shape. So then let's try to do some implied shape. Right, so actually implied shape is just quite easy. So if we steal one actual shape, we just simply turn it into the outline, and probably I will increase the width of the stroke. We just simply turn this outline as a dashed line. So you can see what we got. We got a dashed lines like this, right? We got some gaps between the lines. Okay, so now we are going to select to do another shape, another implied shape. I just need a small circle, object, repeat, and we do the radius, and we give them a particular some distance, right? So then they are implied. This is a implied circle. Yeah, so what if we got some rectangle? Remember we option shift drag command D command D command D, right? And I'm going to use the pen tool to draw a rectangle. Yes, so going to make sure the triangle is at the top of those lines. Select them all, right click and make clipping mask. Then I got an implied shape of a triangle, right? So the clipping mask is very helpful, right? Or we draw a polygon, and this time we're going to the repeat. This time we're going to the grid. So for the grid tool, we can get as many as the same elements I want, right? I can just simply drag it, drag. Yeah, and I will draw a larger one and place it at the front. Going to display it at the front. Select them all, right click, make clipping mask. Then I got an implied shape of a polygon, right? So it's not a closed shape, but we can still perceive it. Yeah, so if it's a piece of triangle, and we're going to the object, repeat, and radius. Okay, and I'll give them more distance. We can see the blank space here is also an implied shape of a polygon, right? It's kind of interesting. So you can still use the radial tool to create some negative space. It's the implied shape. And in the lecture, we also talked about several shapes overlapping with each other. I'm just randomly pick some three shapes. and I'm going to switch them into just to change the color for them. Okay, so I'm select 3 of them and I'm lower down the opacity. Okay, so you can see the shape that they're overlapping with each other is also the implied shape we talked about in the lecture. Right, the part they're overlapping with each other. Okay, yeah, so this is about the implied shapes, right? There are a lot of possibilities you can do with that. So we'll add another artboard. So now we're going to talk about how to do a figure-ground relationship. It's also what talked about in the lecture, right? So first, if it's 2 circle, remember how do we copy paste? Option Shift drag, right? So if I select them both, so now we were going to explore an important tool which is called Pathfinder tool. You can see it at under the properties. So if it's not here, you will go into the window, scroll down to find the Pathfinder tool, right? So whenever you can't find something, always go into the window to look through the menu here. So we're going to you see the first option is unite, right? Which means the 2 circles just unite into one shape. Let's Command Z, go back. Yeah. So if we select both of them and we use the minus front, yes, what happening is it's just minus the shape at the front, right? Which is the second one. Minus the second shape from the first shape, right? Okay, going back. Yeah, so the third one is minus only keep the intersect part. Only keep the intersect part of the 2 shapes. The last one is exclude, which means it's only exclude the part they are overlapping, only exclude the part they are intersecting, right? So yeah, so if you forgot the definition, you can also always try them, right? It's always nice to try them. So the white part is the figure, while the black part is the ground, right? So that's what we talked about in our previous lecture, right? So also if we have 3 shapes, it works in the same way, right? If we exclude, you can see we got the negative space. We exclude the part that are overlapping with each other. So if it's to shape, and I will copy the knife, copy it here, and we want to create a negative space of the knife, make the knife at the front, and we select 3 of them and we select exclude, right? So I just exclude the shape of the knife, and so it becomes a negative space, which create interesting visual results. So I can always use the direct selection tools to kind of delete the part that I think is unnecessary, right? I don't need. Yeah, always use this one. So direct selection tool will always allow you to pick the smaller pieces, make it moving around, right? Yeah. So let's do another one. Okay, so if I grab this car, yeah, probably it's not a really nice option, but let's just take as example exclude, right? You can see we got something really interesting. It's the negative space of a car, right? Okay, so if it's another thing we can try to play with is we still can play with the radio tool, right? Object, repeat radio, and we can make them, we can add more pieces, and we can make them overlapping, and we can we go to the object, we expand it, click OK. After expand, it allow us to select exclude, right? So that's a really nice, interesting pattern. Exclude, right? So okay, so you can take some time, try more options with different types of shapes. It will give you very different results, right? So if we try this shape, and we object, repeat, reduce, okay, and okay, drag to make them overlapping, and we object expanded, and we excluded, right? This is another pattern, right? So we can always play with the radio tool and get some really interesting negative space. So remember we just talked about the shape builder tool, right? So if we select it again, you can see we can put the emphasis, put the highlight on each piece, each simple small piece, right? So if we choose a color and we click, we can color each piece in the way we like, and we can always change another color, continuing coloring the flower, right? So it's another thing you can play with. Same as this one. Use the shape builder tool, grab a color and coloring it, right? Yeah, so you can take some time to play with the Pathfinder tool, play with the shape builder tool, right? It allows you to color your negative space. Yeah, so that's what we talked about in the class today.